Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you're having an amazing day. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, we're taking a look here today, of course, at COTI, which is COTI. It's a coin that I get a lot of requests on, so I figured I'd go ahead and fulfill that here today, just based on the simple fact that I have a little bit more time to dedicate here to this. So thanks again for your patience. But also, thank you, Lisa, so much for requesting that I cover this here. In fact, I have two Lisas in my community here, my Patron community. So, you know who you are. Thanks again. Really do appreciate that. Also note, if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research and just make sure that you learn as much as you can from as many people as possible, okay? Now, even though I have a very high success rate, I average about 80% with my trading, I recommend that you learn as much as you can from me and other people as well, because I got here to this point because of the fact that I have kind of, learned by osmosis and essentially, learned as much as I can. I've just been open to trying new things and essentially applying my own style. I've had over 15 years of experience, so I can assure you it doesn't help in overnight, but it's really cool to be able to kind of evolve as a trader. So if you're new, old, whatever the case is, maybe consider joining my Patreon account. I share all of my trades with my community members. I send out signals, swing trades, hodl trades, day trades, and just make sure that we all remain successful in this industry, because you got to be kind of careful and patient. I'm more of a patient trader myself. I don't like to try to tell you to get 10, 20, 30x. I think that's unrealistic. I'm happy with a 1 to 5% gain every single day. Okay. Again, just keep that in mind. Everyone has different styles. Learn what you can. Nonetheless, check that out in your own time. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right to the video. Let's check out the charts. All right, folks, go ahead and take a look here at COTI, C-O-T-I. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. Again, get a quick baseline on the market so know exactly what's going on before we make an investment, because it's really important to know what the largest two coins are doing in the industry, right? So we'll take a look at that, of course. And just before we do, I like to preface and just kind of explain this every video. I use TradingView.com desktop application. Highly recommend the paid versions. They allow you to have more than 2 indicators present at any given time. So to correctly follow along with me, or just in general, to do a bit more of an effective job with your trading, the paid versions are helpful. So check the link in the description below. It gives you a free month. See if you like it or not. That's okay either way, but it's really good, good service, good platform, essentially. Recommend it highly. Now, moving on, we're looking at the 4-hour chart here for Bitcoin, just to get a quick understanding of what's going on in the baseline, essentially, of where we're at with things. So we've seen a pretty significant increase in the last 24 to 48 hours, which is awesome. It's good to see the price back up again. I kind of feel like it's false positive, though, because with that options expiry tomorrow for Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's a good chance, with the market being generally lower before the contracts had started, that we might see a decrease in price. Again, I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, I have a short position open just to be as safe. So that being said, 4-hour chart here, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the positions here. In other words, where are our support and resistance levels? We got a major resistance here at about 46,800. Keep that in mind. That's been a pretty tried and true resistance level. We've got also the current support of 44,000, but I still feel that will break here in the near future, because I don't believe the one-day chart is closed above that yet. Furthermore, we've got the 42,000 as a support level, and then of course 40 and 38. So kind of pretty much every 2,000 we see a support and resistance level. But right now, price is under both moving averages. We've still got a little bit of ground to cover before we can kind of be out of the clear. But good sign here at this point. Just bear in mind there is a potential for a kind of an ascending wedge pattern forming here. Just keep that in mind too, because when you kind of look at this here, you can see that the price is essentially channeling down in the big picture. Right, doesn't mean it's gonna do that per se, but just something to be aware of. And don't be naive in the fact that we're back in the saddle, so to speak. September hasn't finished yet, and September is notoriously bad for retracement. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Moving on to Ethereum, we are pretty much in a very similar situation here. We can kind of see this resistance level at about 3,200 that's soon to be approached. So let's just go ahead and mark that really quick. You can see 3,200 was a previous support. Spent a lot of time there previously, but right now, obviously, it's working as a potential resistance. So keep in mind, if Bitcoin goes sideways here, Ethereum might actually break and stay above. But for right now, it's considered a resistance level because we're under all the moving averages as well. So I personally feel that Ethereum will continue to go sideways and mirror Bitcoin until Bitcoin gets closer to, just say it breaks 46,800, then we'll see some movement from Ethereum. That's my guess. At least some significant movement outside of Bitcoin. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. Let's go ahead and take a look at COTI, or COTI, however you want to call it. I like the name COTI, so we'll go with that. Now, big picture here, let's keep this in mind. We've got, looks like we might actually break its all-time high. And when I say all-time high, let's double check. I didn't look any further than the 2000, February 26, 2000. I believe that's its ICO date. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. But at this point here, we're looking at the one-day chart, we can see previous resistance was about 51 cents. So let's go ahead and mark that. And right now we have roughly 45 minutes before the one-day candlestick closes. Therefore, there's a strong likelihood, unless we get a significant retracement, the price will close above 51.5 cents, and we'll see that work as a support level moving forward. Okay, now it's not a 100% guarantee, but oftentimes when a previous all-time high is broken on the one-day chart and the candlestick closes above, it works as a fairly strong support moving forward. Again, Bitcoin tomorrow dips down to 40,000, 38,000. Different story altogether. This won't even matter. So just keep that in mind. That's why we look at Bitcoin first, because Bitcoin has a big impact on the movement here, the price action. And even though, yes, Bitcoin has only moved a small percent in the last 24, 48 hours compared to COTI, it's still reliant on Bitcoin, right? We can never deny that. Every single coin has somewhat of a reliance on Bitcoin, whether we like to admit it or not. But good news is the price is above both moving averages. RSI is still under 70, so there's technically more room for growth here. Excellent news. We did have a convergence in the MACD here. That's pretty standard right now for a lot of coins, just based on Bitcoin's movement recently after the major sell-offs. But you can kind of see here, though, it did very well, all things considered. I mean, Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin here in this. Leg down, leg down. COTI, on the other hand, leg down, came up, leg down again, but came up again, right? So it's destined to be at this price point. It's one of those things where when you just continue, when you see coins performing very well outside of Bitcoin movement, yes, it's impacted, it's moving down with Bitcoin, but it responds and bounces back even twice as fast. That tells me that the price should have been up here a lot sooner. Hadn't we had some sideways action from Bitcoin right here, or some retracement, we probably would have seen COTI do this a long time ago. Either way, it's a good sign in the big picture. All right, so moving on to the 4-hour chart, let's take a quick look here. Not much to really disseminate. It's very similar to the one-day chart in a sense. It's just kind of showing us this most recent, 16 hours has been pretty significant. We had a convergence on the MACD at about 1 a.m. on the 22nd, which was yesterday. So we'll just mark that really quick. Kind of see if there's a correlation on the cloud. But all in all, this is pretty normal, pretty standard stuff for most coins right now, but just in general, a traditional ramp back up to its previous all-time high. So it tested the all-time high, broke through it. So far, we still need it to close above this range, but it does look like it's trending towards that. Now, we look at the TD sequential, though, we'll see that we're at a state of exhaustion. You can tell that the last 9 candlesticks have just consistently increased. Therefore, we should expect some type of either a retracement or sideways action. It'll probably go sideways and consolidate on top of that support level. Bitcoin sells off. Obviously, we're going to see a fairly decent retracement, but it depends on what Bitcoin does all in all. That's really the bottom line. Okay, yeah, so that's kind of what we're looking at there for the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at the 1 hour and kind of see what's going on here for the Ichimoku cloud. All right, so Ichimoku, look at that. I love it when this happens because it happens more frequent than you might think. So first of all, we marked the 4-hour chart, right, for the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, when the 12 intersected with the 26 in an upward fashion. We marked that on that on the time frame here, right? So this little line here basically gave us a heads up, according to the MACD, that the price is moving upwards. In other words, more so important, the bears lost control and the bulls are taking control, right? That's what it told us. Furthermore, to reiterate that fact, you look at the 1-hour chart, the Ichimoku cloud, you can see when the price is in here, typically that's no buy zone. So had you just say waited until the price broke above, you would have been just fine. But hypothetically, you took an entry 4 hours before, you would have been all set and good to go. So just say hypothetically you took entry at about 7 a.m. You woke up, the sun was shining, you took entry on COTI, right about 35 cents. And here you are right now. You would be at approximately 53% increase in no more than just a day and a half, right? Again, I just like to give this perspective here, give you an idea of the fact that this is stuff that I look for. In fact, I send out signals like these regularly to my community members based on the fact that I get a lot of MACD conversion signals. I try to set as many of them up as I can. And when I get that alert, oftentimes it's a really good sign, especially if you can see a coin like this that's performing very well outside of Bitcoin and kind of bouncing back quickly. So all in all, you kind of take everything into consideration, but when you have a MACD convergence, it's kind of like, indicator number one, hey, I might want to pay attention and or consider investing in this based on, the overall price movement from Bitcoin. Okay. But the long story short here, if you're new to the channel or just say Ishimoku cloud in general, the cloud, when the price breaks above the cloud, is considered a buy signal. When it's below, it's considered a sell signal. So hypothetically, you could have shorted back here and taken some profits somewhere in the 20-25% range, and obviously, plus 50+% here as well. But anytime you consider taking entry above or below, it's a really good consideration, right? Again, it's not foolproof, it doesn't work out every single time, but it does help kind of increase your odds or your chances of success. And these are just things that I like to look for. So when I get a convergence on the MACD on the 4-hour chart and the price breaking above the cloud on the 1 hour, it's kind of like a, some people like a golden cross per se. I prefer this combination better. Again, it's more so for swing trading, right? So day trading, shorter time frames may not be all that super helpful. Obviously, it's helpful to find a good entry, but I think you get what I'm saying. Then furthermore, let's take a quick look here. We'll see extreme overtime for TD sequential. Take a look at this here. I know we looked at it on the 4-hour chart already, but even with this reset right here, we got this nice little sideways action, some consolidation after we had a strong increase, probably about 20%. It legged up again, and if you look at that here, it really should have stopped at the resistance level, but it broke the previous resistance. Again, tentatively, we're tentatively above the resistance of 51 cents, 51.50. And now it's kind of above there. So it pushed up. I'm sure we saw a strong volume spike. There could have been even a short squeeze. That does happen sometimes. Not all the time with altcoins like this, but shorts, or at least, people put their stop losses at major resistance and support levels. I do it all the time. Therefore, this was a major resistance level. There's a strong chance that it shot up even further based on that sentiment alone. Again, that's just part of it. Definitely not the whole reason or purpose or thing that drove it here, but it does definitely impact that. So that's why you'll notice that most support or resistance levels get, that the price won't just test it, and well, it'll test it, but it won't just like shoot. No, sorry, it will shoot through. It won't just kind of barely slowly ease into it. It really just, it goes all or nothing a lot of times. And those are major support and resistance levels. So just something to pay attention to there. Now let's take a look at the 15. Quickly identify the EMA and VWAP and just kind of get quick perspective on a good entry point. Big picture right now, I can tell you without even looking at the EMA and VWAP that a good entry point is to wait for the price to test the support level, see what happens with Bitcoin tomorrow with the options expiration date for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and see what happens. I'm sure there's a lot of positions there that are going to expire that are essentially in the red or didn't match or meet their criteria to be able to take profit. Therefore, it's going to close, and oftentimes the price decreases because of that. I hope that doesn't happen. We never truly know with the whales. They'll have this, like they might have pumped it up here today, Bitcoin, for example, to kind of drive the price up to minimize their losses. That happens too as well. So you can never truly understand or estimate what's going to occur, but when you have a large amount of volume with expiration date for options, it does have a tendency of working adversely to the price. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at EMA and VWAP here. And big surprise, price is up over EMA and VWAP. That's what happens in most bull runs. But simply put, if you're new to the channel, we got the VWAP. That's this blue line here. That's essentially the volume weighted average price. Takes the volume last 24 hours, expresses as a price, and drives essentially works itself as a support level. So it'll push the price up, so to speak, if it comes down to try to test it. The EMA does the same thing as well. It's more of a momentous indicator. That's the exponential moving average. And you can see the price bounces off the EMA here, and just kind of shot through there. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of how it works. And if you see the state of consolidation here as well, the price lost VWAP and EMA, and it kind of trended below. And as soon as it broke above here, you have these two candlesticks here. And I always try to recommend looking for this, because I have a notification set up where it tells me anytime I have two concurrent candlesticks closing above EMA and VWAP. That's usually an entry sign, a good entry point for me. I look for that as more of a day trader. So when you look at this here, you see these two green candlesticks. This would have been an awesome point to enter right here. Again, easier said than done. Retrospect, I know hindsight's 2020. It's easy, super easy to identify right now. But generally speaking, that's kind of what I would normally look for. Granted, I'd probably be a little more cautious based on the fact that we're taking a long position into a major resistance level. But obviously, it broke through and shot above. Right? So now that we're above there, we want to honor this as a potential support. So if the one-day candlestick closes above this, because again, it hasn't closed officially yet right now, we can see it's still testing. If that closes above, then we're going to be in a good shape to possibly consider that as a support level moving forward. Again, respect what Bitcoin does here in the near future. If Bitcoin sells off, that will likely not hold as a support. It'll break below, sell off, and then potentially become a new resistance. So just be aware of that. That's why the one-day chart is the most relevant, most important support and resistance zone that you want to pay attention to. Another thing we want to reference here as well, and we can see this was a strong resistance previously, we can rely on this being a good support if the price breaks below 51.5 cents. Okay, just keep that in mind. Again, that was a previous resistance, got stunned out twice, 2 days in a row. Therefore, 48 cents is a secondary support level here for COTI. So big picture, what's it going to do? What's my prediction? Obviously, COTI is ready to explode. I would normally say it's rock and roll, ready to go. Set your get your entry points in right now. However, I'm a little timid based on tomorrow's news, so I want to wait to see what happens tomorrow first. If the news tomorrow isn't negative or adverse, we have a very positive outlook there, and Bitcoin starts to at least just go sideways for the full day. Going into the weekend, this would be a strong consideration for a long signal or a long position, and I do think that $1 is likely by year end, just based on its momentum and how it's done so far. But even more so the fact that we're predicted. Predicted. I can't speak today, I apologize. The prediction is essentially that October, November, December are very strong months. Okay. And I bring that forward because of the fact that, again, it's relevant here, right? So if Bitcoin takes off next month and does what we expect, it increases by 50%, then COTI being kind of a 2x multiplier, doing twice as well as Bitcoin in most cases when Bitcoin's doing well, then that would mean this would basically improve by 100%, right? So that's kind of how I generally get that concept, is the fact that this coin has a lot of potential. It's gaining market capitalization, and in turn, it's becoming, more of a large market cap coin. Even though I think it's still considered mid cap, I think it'll get there eventually, and it has potential there. Again, good fundamentals too. You want to check that out in your own time, but generally speaking, I think there's obviously some good room for growth here. So this is still kind of, I wouldn't say ground floor per se, but I think you can get a decent amount of growth out of this one from a swing trade or a potential hodl trade where you just hold on for a few months, again, till year end. I wouldn't recommend holding on forever, of course, just based on the fact that we should expect Bitcoin to start retracing next year, at least more significantly. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Anyways, I hope you found benefit from this. If you do, and you like my trading style, feel free to join my Patron community. I do have an opportunity where I share my trades with all my community members, and I essentially just make sure to send out as many signals as possible of all the entry points, take profit targets, everything you really need to know to kind of be more, I wouldn't say autopilot, you still learn a lot, but I have about an 82% success rate right now. And it's helpful to be able to share that with my community members. So we're already 50 plus strong. It's been a great experience so far. Join on in there if you get a chance. I would just recommend considering it on the first, just based on the way that Patron does its billing cycle. Either way, thank you again so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing the next video. Have a great rest of your day.